So I'm going to explain to you how the DNetting project works. First, I'm going to explain the basics, and then I will share my screen with you and show you how it works in practice. So, imagine somebody is doing illegal stuff online, for example, posting hateful things on Facebook, and you want to talk to them. So what you do is you send a subpoena to Facebook, and they will give you the information they have. But the information they have is not exactly what you need. What you need to understand is that the TCP connection is made up of 4 numbers: the source IP, which you will get, the source port, as well as a destination IP and a destination port. If you have those 4 numbers, then the internet is able to take your data from point A to point B. So from the point of view of, for example, Facebook, the content provider, you will get, they will tell you who did the illegal stuff, and they will send you logs consisting of the source port, source IP, destination IP, destination port, and a timestamp. But not always. Sometimes they omit the destination IP because they don't know which of their servers was hit by the request. And sometimes they won't give you the source port as well because it's not an information they keep in the logs. But at the very least, you will have the source IP and the timestamp. And usually what you would do is request the internet service provider about the source IP and ask them, okay, who was behind this IP? And if everything goes right, they will give you a single name. But we have a problem. We have a shortage of IPv4. We don't have enough IPs to give one to everyone. So what the ISPs do is they pull a lot of people behind one IP. So if you ask about this IP, you won't get a single answer. You will get a lot of answers. And only one guy is the one you're looking for. All the others are innocent bystanders. So to handle this problem, we created DNetting. The way it works is you get your source IP on your timestamp and maybe some other information, and you go to the ISP and you ask, okay, give me everybody that used this IP at this time. And maybe, if you're lucky, the guy who did the illegal stuff, he connected again sometimes later. So you have multiple events. And you ask again. And at the end, you get a whole stack of logs, like huge, maybe 10,000 of lines. And what DNetting does is it takes the information from the content provider and it matches this information with what the ISP gave you. And every time there is a match, we keep a tally of which customer of the ISP was responsible for the network event. And at the end, we can say, for example, this customer matched 2 events out of 2 information you got from the content provider. So it's most likely your guy. So the more information you have, the more events you can correlate, the more certain you are that you are talking to the right people. But the lack of a source port or the lack of destination IP or destination port should not prevent you from using DNetting. DNetting is able to find the needle in the haystack, even with only the source IP. But if you have the rest of the information, you can give it as well. So I hope this was clear, and now I will show you on my screen how it looks like.
So in order to access the software, you should go to dnetting.beaver-labs.com. And this is what you see. So the first thing to do is to upload your magnets. The magnets is the data that was given to you by the content provider, for example, Facebook. So I will enter test data here. First, you need to enter the IP, the source IP. So this IP belongs to the internet service provider. If you know the source port, you can put it there, but usually you won't know the source port. If there is an information you don't know, you can just leave the field blank. That's okay. If you know the destination IP, you can put it, and the destination port, but usually you won't know them as well. For example, Facebook doesn't give away the destination IP. And then you have the timestamp. 2 very important points about timestamps. They must be ISO formatted. I will tell you what that means. It means that you put the year first, like 2019, then a dash, then the month, for example, May, then a dash, then a day of the month, 25, then a T, the letter T, and then you put the time. So for example, 7 a.m., 13 minutes, 13 seconds. And you must respect this format exactly. And then you should put the time zone, and the time zone must always be 0000. This means that your timestamp should always be in the time zone UTC. This is very important because this is a software that is for all the countries in the European Union and even a bit further away. So we won't share the same timestamp. So in order to avoid mistakes, I ask that everybody use UTC. If you don't put your time zone there, the software will crash. And if you put any other time zone than UTC, the software will crash as well. So it is your responsibility to go to the content provider and ask them, okay, you've given me logs. In which time zone are your logs? This is very important to do. And you must input the date using this exact format. This is a bit cumbersome, but by doing so, you will avoid many mistakes. Sorry, 10 too many. So yeah, 00:00. By doing so, you will avoid stupid mistakes, like messing up a time zone will not allow the software to give you the answer you're looking for. So please be careful about time zone and timestamps and input them using the ISO format, which is unambiguous, and the UTC time zone, which is the only objective time zone we have. Like most countries, they have summertime and winter time, and this is crazy because there exists some point in time which has no representation in summertime. On when the night during which you switch, then you can have two different moments in times represented by the same date. So it's don't use summertime anywhere. Use UTC. Anyway, if you are unsure about the precision of your timestamp, you can tell the software how confident you are that the timestamp is right, because not everybody share the same exactly the same time. So, for example, Facebook's servers may be 10 seconds ahead of your ISP servers and so on. So not everybody is synchronized. So if you believe that they are 10 minutes apart, you can put 10M. If you believe that they are only 1 second apart, you put 1S. And if you want to do 1 hour and a half, you can put 1H for 1 hour and 30M for 30 minutes, for example. And if you want to be very precise, you can put 10S. So this is 1 hour, 30 minutes and 10 seconds. So this is the small language in this field. So 1 hour is the default, but you can put 30 minutes if you wish. Anything you want, just always in the same order. The number of hours, if there is 0 hours, you can omit. Then the number of minutes, for example, 30 minutes. Then the number of seconds, for example, 10 seconds. And you can omit any of the field as long as one is here. So you can add this. And if everything went right, you see that now you have one magnet. So I will input another magnet, another event from the content provider. So I have my source IP. I don't know the source port. I don't know the destination IP. I don't know the destination port, but I have a timestamp. Dash month dash day T time. Sorry, yes. Time and seconds, as well as my time zone, which must always be UTC. And I add this magnet as well. If you want to be reminded or copy paste the magnets that you have, you can just click there and you will see that you have your IP. All the fields here are F, which means you have not given them, which is okay. It will just not use them for matching. And then your timestamp. Your timestamp is always converted to a number of seconds, the precision. Anyway, you can go back. And now you will upload the data from your ISP. So once again, this is what you got from the content provider, and when you ask the ISP who is behind this IP, he just told you, well, a lot of people are behind this IP, and what you said was, okay, give me everybody and I will manage. And this is what you get. You get a file from your ISP. For example, if you're in France and you ask Orange, you have two different formats. Let's say you get the Fortinet format. please make sure to select the correct format. We cannot guess the format because they all look the same. So if you are in Spain, you can have Yoigo or Orange, select the correct one. We have some Cypress format as well, and in France we have two formats for Orange. So you have your file, you click there, and you see that you have 10 straws, which is nice, but you also have one error. Anytime we are unable to parse the data given to you by the ISP, you will see an error like that. What you should do then is go and see the error, and you will get a fairly straightforward explanation of what went wrong. You can copy paste this and send it to me, and I will investigate. Okay. But the fact that you have 10 straws in your haystack is good. It means that from your file we were able to get 10 network events, which you can see. You can see the source IP, source port, and so on. Everything that was given to you by the ISP. Anytime we get a new ISP, we know which time zone it is in, so we convert. So this is in the UTC, like I said before, but in the file it's not in UTC, it's in the French summertime, whatever. So for example, this is in summertime, but this is not in summertime, or maybe this is not in summertime, this one is in wintertime, but we do the conversion correctly, don't worry, from the ISP. And when we display it in UTC. So anyway, you have your data from the ISP, you have your data from the content provider, you can now match. And what we see is this phone number has matched twice. So this guy is the one you're looking for. Maybe you will have multiple lines. They are sorted by the most matches. So the phone number at the top is the one you're looking for. So if you have any questions, or if you get an error like this one, what you should do is go to gitlab.com/Edouard Klein, which is my name, /dnetting. And you will get the source code of the project, which is open source. You can use it, modify it, whatever. But also you get the issues. Issues is the list of problems that the software has. You can create a new issue. And you describe your problem. My data is not parsed, whatever. And it may be a good idea to copy-paste the error that you get. Please be careful, you have a reminder here. The error will copy the line from the ISP. So, for example, this is an IPv6. This may be personal data. So it's your job to remove that, because this GitLab is a public forum. So if you copy-paste personal data from a suspect, then it may be problematic. So please make sure to clean the error message that you get. But you can tell me what went wrong using this form, and I will probably investigate and tell you, okay, send me more data, or yes, it was a bug, I have corrected it, please try again, and so on. And we can discuss, add comments, and so on. So anyway, that's all for me. If you have any question, you can also ask in the issues. For example, if you don't understand the field, if there is anything wrong, I will update the documentation as well. I hope this will be useful to you, and I hope you will catch a lot of bad guys. And yeah, see you soon. Bye bye.